Hello and welcome. This is a Qigong session today for the wood element and for the liver and the gallbladder. And I wanted to do a recording of this sequence because I didn't record the live session by accident. So I wanted to offer this on my Yoga Mondays as a little sample. So if you haven't tried Qigong before, then this is a great introduction, and it's quite simple sequences. It's just a wonderful practice for digestion. It's a fantastic practice for building strength in the connective tissues, the fascia. The liver and gallbladder is also really good for emotional stability, mental clarity, decisiveness, and many, many more benefits. So regardless of the time of year, this is a wonderful practice to sort of build energy, bring energy in. And it's kind of like a time of yang ascending. So we're going to begin with the hands on the lower dantian. So this is called dantian breathing. So in Chinese medicine, we have 3 dantians, one in the head, one in the chest, and one in the lower abdomen, just below the navel. And if you're feeling a little bit restless or overstimulated, the left hand can come on top of the right hand, because the left hand is yin, calming. And equally, if you're feeling a little bit flat, a little bit tired, a little bit heavy, then the right hand on top of the left hand will give a little more of an energy boost. So whichever feels more appropriate right now. And then as we take our hands just below the navel, we can start to experience the expansion of our breath deeper into the belly and lower down, which is a little bit more, well, it's better to have the breath in this space, because that means the diaphragm is breathing for us, and there's more of an expansion of energy around the abdomen. We feel mentally connected to the belly. And so, as well as expanding into the hands, let's try to expand into the lower back, the sides of the hips as well. So there's this feeling like almost like blowing up a balloon in the abdomen. And we can also locate in our mind's eye where our lower dantian is, big storage unit of energy in the lower belly. We can feel where the expansion kind of originates from. And that is usually the location of your lower dantian. Just like the organs in the body, they can be in different places. Now, dantian breathing helps us to kind of bring energy into this very important source of energy. And the liver and gallbladder are rulers of qi and our blood. And we can think about this in 3 ways, because we've got the 3 treasures of Chinese medicine. There's Jing, which is an inborn energy that is kind of passed down, a bit like a sort of genetic energy. And that comes from our bones and is governed by the kidneys. And then the qi is the energy that circulates around our blood, and we can get that from this jing, from this inborn energy, but also from the air we breathe and the food that we eat. And then there's something called shen, which is our consciousness, our awareness, our aliveness. And that resides in the heart, and that is a little bit like the light that comes off a candle. If you can imagine that the candle is the jing, the flame is the qi, and then the light emanating from the candle is the shen. That's our spirit, our awakeness. So as we breathe, it's like we're trying to bring energy in. We're trying to restore some of that qi if we're feeling tired at the moment. And then let's do 3 rounds of clearing. So releasing the hands from the lower abdomen, palms facing the sky. Let's circle the arms up and collect and gather any tendencies we have today to get swept away by powerful emotions. So the emotion of the liver and the gallbladder is anger, frustration, irritability. You know, those days where we just feel like we've got a little too much. Burnout can often be, we can experience these kind of emotions when we experience burnout. But actually with the liver and the gallbladder, we can work with any overwhelming emotion. So let's collect and gather any tendencies that we have today to get swept away by an emotion that feels less than enjoyable. All emotions have a lot of powerful energy attached to them, and when we practice Qigong, we can harness this energy and use it for good and use it for more productive things. So let's do one more round. Let's collect and gather now any clutter, mental clutter, because at this time of year and with the wood element, we're looking for clear vision, clarity, and our ability to not be confused, to be decisive, to take action when it's needed. And so let's pause for a moment here. And instead of doing just Wu-Ji empty stance, let's hold tree. So this is called holding tree. This is a great way to really start to embody the wood element. And you can imagine that you're holding any tree. You can have a favorite tree, maybe from your childhood, that you can imagine in your mind's eye, or it could just be a kind of tree, a particular kind of tree in a particular part of the world. And imagine that your arms are kind of softly embracing the tree, this kind of circular way, and the lower body, like the roots of the tree, are growing downwards. There's a feeling of sinking. The knees become soft, the tailbone drops down, and at the other end, there's this lifting, like the branches and the leaves of the tree moving upwards to the sky. And human beings can be really compared to trees in a lot of ways. We need a lot of the same things that trees need, like water, sunlight, the earth. We need to get energy from these sources. And then we find when we visualize trees, we can start to take on their qualities. And this is a beautiful thing about Qigong as a practice. When we move like specific animals, when we look to nature, we can start to return to nature by mimicking it, by absorbing its qualities, its virtues, its energy. And so imagine as you hold the tree, you're relaxing into it. The other thing that's good about this form is that we can embrace discomfort in the shoulders. And so we relax the shoulders when we start to feel that slight engagement, that burning, maybe a little bit of burning. But this is the practice of Qigong, Tai Chi, and Kung Fu, is that we want to train ourselves to not just be okay with comfortable, but to be okay with uncomfortable as well, because life is full of twists and turns and challenges and discomfort. And so when we train in Qigong and Tai Chi, we train to be able to welcome in whatever's present, basically, so that we're not pushing anything away. And that allows everything to continue its movement rather than getting stuck. Just like with our emotions, we experience challenging emotions. Sometimes we can push them down. We can hide them inside our body. Then that just comes out in other ways, in physical ailments. So if we allow ourselves to feel and experience everything from the comfortable and enjoyable to the less comfortable and not quite as enjoyable, then everything flows, everything keeps moving, and we don't get stuck. So for 3 more breaths, hold the tree. Try to relax and soften around the discomfort in the shoulders. It's quite hard. It's a bit like holding horse stance in Kung Fu when people sit into that really low squat for ages. Put bricks on their legs. I've watched Jackie Chan films. I know what I'm talking about. So let's let the arms relax down by the sides now and shake it out. Oh, woo, that felt intense. So we are now going to do a mudra. So this mudra is right hand in front of the heart, palm facing the left, and left hand is in front of the lower abdomen, lower dantian, palm facing the right. And this is called spiraling hand mudra, or power of the immeasurable gods. And what this does is it connects us to the rooting down with the left hand and rising up with the right hand. And again, Qigong is all about subtlety. It's all about tapping into the subtle energy. So soften the knees, become relaxed in your knees so it feels like your hips sink down. Let your tail drop so that your lower back opens. And then with the right hand in front of the heart, imagine that you're connecting up into the heavens. So often when we try to balance our yin and yang, we connect into the sky above, the sunlight, the air we breathe, the cosmos. And we also try to take energy from from the ground below. Sorry, Keiko just brought in a little toy with her wrapped around her. So there is energy available to us through our roots. And then we have our steady trunk. And then there is energy available to us from the sky, from the sun as well, from the cosmos and the universe. And so the hands help us to feel that connection of yin and yang. We can almost imagine as we breathe in, energy coming in from above, and as we breathe out, rooting down and receiving support and energy from the earth. Let's change hands. So as we breathe in, the arms come out to the side, elbows to the sides. Gently rotate the wrists, and now the left hand is right in front of the heart, and the right hand is on the lower abdomen. And we can really kind of create space around the armpits. Sorry, I really very nearly sneezed then. 'Tis the season for allergies. So create space in the joints, and this is the key with Qigong. We want to make sure there is space in the joints so that energy can flow through us. In the same way, we don't want energy to get stuck. So imagine yourself as the tree that you were embracing at the start of the practice. Movement downwards and a movement upwards. Feeling steady, feeling those deep roots keeping us really mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually steady and centered. And at the same time, flexibility, adaptability, just like a tree trying to grow out of the concrete that we lay over the land. They always find a way to still grow, very adaptable, flexible. And then let's take a couple of rounds of warm-ups for the shoulders. So I've been really enjoying this. I'm going to show you this from the side. So we're going to open the back of the shoulders, bending the knees, and circling the arms in front of the head. And then we're going to take a little gentle lean back, circling the arms out to the side, squeezing the shoulder blades together. So we open the back of the body, dropping the chin, kind of puffing out the shoulder blades. And then we take a nice big breath in, opening the front of the body, circling the shoulder blades. Oh, it feels so good. Let's try one more. Circling forward and then lifting up. I really recommend doing this first thing in the morning. It just feels amazing. In fact, let's do two more. Why not? So when you round your back, don't forget to bend your elbows, soften your knee joints, and allow your spine to move. But don't over accentuate the movement in your lower back as you lean into this opening of the chest. Let's do one more. My shoulders make so much noise when I'm doing this. Okay, let's bring them back down by the sides. Now we're going to work a little bit on the gallbladder meridian, which is one of our focal points today. So the organs are always partnered in Qigong, Chinese medicine. So the liver is yin. We can't live without our liver, very important. And the gallbladder is yang, and that is its assistant. And the gallbladder meridians are very long. They go all the way up the sides of the body into the neck and shoulders. So let's open the sides of the body in this really nice little warm-up practice. Right arm goes over the head, palm down. Now the left palm is up, and that goes in front of the hips. Just kind of bringing the hips over to the right side, and then look down at the floor next to your left foot. And then inhale to come back to center. And then as we exhale, the right palm up, left palm down. You're going to move the hips to the left, and you can bend the left knee a little bit, looking down. So I will tell you as we do this, inhaling, let the arms float to the middle. Exhale. We want to feel this around our rib cage, the muscles in between the ribs. All the oblique muscles around the waist that support our spine. And the gallbladder meridians go from the eyes, the eye sockets, through the temple area, around the ears, they kind of twine around the neck a little bit, through the shoulder joint, and then they kind of zigzag down through the side body, through the rib cage, outer legs, all the way down into the feet. And so there's this wonderful sense that the whole side body, including the neck, we can open and release the gallbladder meridian. And the gallbladder meridian helps us with our physical sort of vitality, and as I said, governs the connective tissue, so it really improves the health of our fascia. And so a beautiful area to open. And it's also very good for metabolism and digestion, because our gallbladder as an organ produces bile and helps us to digest vitamins. So after this next round, come back to center on the inhale, and then just let the arms relax down by the side. Now, a little exercise to help us improve our yi, or our focus, and to really highlight the power of what we imagine, what we're thinking about when we're doing this practice. This is amazing, this practice. So I want you to imagine that you're in a butterfly aviary, like a greenhouse that's full of butterflies. I can't remember what they call it. I think they're called butterfly aviaries. I don't know. Anyway, so you're covered in butterflies. You've got loads of butterflies on your hands, and a friend of yours is going to take a photo, and you don't want the butterflies to fall off, but you want to move your hands up towards the sky, but really slowly and very gently, so that the butterflies don't get startled and leave. So you're seeing if you can keep the butterflies there. As the hands rise, you have to really imagine that the butterflies are there. And so they're little tiny feet on your fingers, and you're moving so slowly and so gently so that they stay there. You want them to stay. And then we go back the way we came. Hands melt down, really slow. In the same way, see if you can take out any jerky movements. Move really smoothly, but very slowly, very gently. And if you can imagine the butterflies, their little pitter-patter feet on your fingertips, it just changes the way you move. Now, when you get back to the bottom, shake it out a little bit. And we're going to change this now to picking up a couple of watermelons. So imagine your friend now is like, let's have some watermelon cocktails. Pick up those 2 watermelons. So you've got a couple of medium-sized watermelons, and you're going to hold them, and you feel the weight of them. And as you imagine them in your mind's eye, you feel the weight of them. Now, very slowly, push the feet down. Start to slowly lift the watermelons. And you can feel their weight, and you can feel the difference between picking up the butterflies or picking up the watermelons. It feels really different. Now, don't drop the watermelons on your head, because that's going to hurt. Bring them back down the way you came. And again, feel their weight. You know, I can feel my arms moving a bit faster because it feels like there's weight there. Amazing. And then when we get to the bottom, let's shake it out. Now, I just wanted to do that because of the powerful connection between our visualization, our imagination, and the way we move and the quality of our movement. And this helps us with this notion of relaxing in Qigong, which is not just limp, but really awake and alive in that visualization, letting go of all unnecessary tension and using our imagination and our visualizations and our yi to help us manifest energy, relax, open up, whatever it is we're trying to achieve. So with that in mind, let's do rolling balls. So we're going to do some forms that are specifically for the liver and gallbladder. So we're going to hold a basketball in front of our chest. And if I show you from the side, it's really kind of relaxed in the elbows, soft in the shoulders. This is for the gallbladder meridian. So the arm moves independently of the ribs. So we're going to lift the right elbow, roll the hand back and down, and then push back to the start position. And then the left elbow comes up and back and down, pushing back to the start position. So the movement is not coming from the rib cage, it's coming just from the arm bone. And you've got these muscles in your arms called the rotator cuffs. And so when you do these rolling ball exercises, you can start to ease tension in the shoulder joint and really open up the gallbladder meridian, which resides in that space. And it just feels great. If you've had any issues with your shoulders, this is a really good thing to do. It builds a little hydration in the shoulder joint. It helps us to find smooth mobility in this joint, bringing more synovial fluid to the joint, and a great option as well if your neck is really tight, so just kind of unwinding. So as we move, we want to really embody this smooth, flowing, spherical shape of a ball. Like with all the forms, there is a visualization, an intention that goes with it. So let's do one more and just give that gallbladder meridian a little bit of a massage, and then relaxing the arms down by the sides. Give the shoulders a little shake and just stretching the feet a little bit. So the next thing I wanted to do was to work with the deer. So we've got a female deer and a male deer. Now, there are lots of different versions of these forms. These are quite simple, so really nice to do just in a short practice like this. They're not overly complicated like some of the forms are. And the deer is one of the celestial creatures of springtime, the wood element, and the liver and the gallbladder. So when we work with the deer, so I'm just pedaling my toes here to stretch them out, you can join me. We're looking for that sort of bouncy, springy, strong, but also very gentle and light. And there's like a quietness to the deer, which is wonderful if you've been feeling a bit overwhelmed. So we'll start with the female deer. So the female deer, rather than having antlers or horns, the female deer has little nubbins. And so you've got these little fists that you do with this form. So quite loose fists. And when you bring the hands up, you've got these little nubbins. And then when you come forward, the palms open. We'll do it together. Let's just do the legs first. So feet hip width, always this dropping connection of the tailbone to the feet. So you're opening the yang channels in the lower back. And then again, no hands. You lean the weight over to the left leg, bending the knee, and you just pointing the right toes, just place the ball of the right foot down. So you're coming a little forward. So maybe if you are facing 12 o'clock, if I'm at 12, then your right toes step out to sort of 2 o'clock. Now we shift the weight forward into the right leg and then stretch the right leg. So can you see, it's like I'm doing a little hamstring stretch. The left leg bends a little bit, dropping down the tail again, and then we kind of open. So it becomes like a little, it's a bit like triangle pose actually. Sorry, Keiko's playing with her ball on her own. And then coming back into the right foot. I'll play with you in a minute, babe. I feel really guilty when she does that. Pushing the weight back into the right foot, and then we do the other side. So let's just do the legs again. So we're going to shift the weight to the right leg, always a little soft. Ball of the left foot taps down, comes forward a little bit, so maybe at 10 o'clock. And then shifting the weight forward, nice and smooth. And then pressing the hips back, so and then we're opening to the side. And in this form, you can even look up in this bit. And then when you bring the weight back, it's like a sort of mini warrior one. You can push back and the left foot steps back in. Super simple. Let's try it with the hands. So your hands are in front. You're just going to start position where you're grounding, sinking your hips. And then nubbins. I think I made that word up. Right toes tap forward. Now, as you bring the weight into this kind of bow stance, you're going to open your palms. The hands flow down, and then as the hands reach the legs, the right hand is resting on the right leg, and then the left hand is kind of helping us to open the hip. So you can look up to the sky and press the hips back. Now look back to the ground, shift back into bow stance, pick up your nubbins, and then step in, back in, and back to the start position. Perfect, let's try the other side. Nubbins. Can you ever say that weird word too many times? I don't think so. Shifting forward, hands pressing down. straightening the left leg. Now the right hand can come to the waist, and then remember you can look up if that feels comfortable. You don't have to look up if it doesn't feel comfortable. And then looking back to the ground, shifting the weight back into the left foot. Nubbins come up about as high as your nubbins would be, so on your forehead or around your forehead, and then the hands just kind of melt down, nice and soft. So the deer, a graceful creature, able to move through the forest with so much grace, so much kind of light, springy energy. They're so beautiful as well. I find deer absolutely stunning. And they have this kind of sinewy strength that is also flexible. And when we mimic the deer, then we're trying to find this kind of quiet, very, very strong, but not in a way that is fierce or aggressive. And there is this spiritual quality to the deer. They're often associated with a connection between heaven and earth, and the spirit realms and the material realms. And in the same way as trees, because trees kind of move up as well as grounding down. So connection between the more ethereal, mysterious cosmos and the world we can see around us. Let's do two more. So poised at the ready, you're a little female deer. You're just gonna have a little gentle shift forward and then decompressing. So this opens up a little bit through the liver meridians in the sides of the stomach and around the hips, the inside of the hips. And we want this smooth, fluid movement. So we always want to feel like the arms and the legs are moving together when we're doing Qigong, and the knees are always bent. So you do find when you've done a Qigong practice that you feel it in your legs because you're always a little bent in your knees. And this is what builds, kind of subtly builds a lot of strength in the legs. And then on this round, we'll just take a moment pausing, settling, sinking. And now we're going to do the male deer. So the male deer has antlers, horns. And so we've done, if you do my Qigong practices, we've done this before. This is quite a simplified variation. So like we did with the female deer, let's do the legs first. So I'm going to sink, as always. Let's shift the weight into the left leg. And this time the heel comes forward, so you don't need to do your arms to start with. So again, the right foot comes a little forward, sort of pointing to 2 o'clock. We're going to shift the weight forward, and as we do, we turn the right toes out slightly, and then we get this twist. Now you look over to your right heel, and you want to feel a side bend in your left side body. And then when we come back up, the ball of the right foot lifts, heel on the floor, and then we step back in. Let's do the other side. Soften into the right knee, drop the tail, heel, flow forward, turning the left toes out. And then as we twist, so we're getting a twist and a side bend, working with the gallbladder and the liver meridians. Shifting back, toes lift, and then we step back in. Let's do it together. So you've got your antlers and you've got your hooves. So hooves to the left, right heel steps out. Now, as we bring the weight into that right foot, turning the toes out, your arms flow up and over and turn into antlers. Right elbow bends to the waist and the left arm reaches and stretches. So you feel this gorgeous stretch all the way through your left side body. And then as you come back, shifting the weight into the left foot, and then you go back to hooves. And then the right foot steps in, back to start position. Let's go again. Hooves to the right. Right foot takes the weight, left heel steps out towards 10 o'clock. And then as you turn, so the whole body turns, including that left foot, And then you've got your antlers. The right arm wants to be quite high by the ear. And you want to feel the stretch all the way down the right side body. Look at the floor to relax the neck. Push the ground forward, let your antlers lift, flow, hooves, and then back to the center. Let's try 4 more. So there's a poise, heel. Now imagine a deer, the effortless movement, the flow that feels really easy. So in Taoist philosophy, and Qigong is really an embodiment of Taoist philosophy, we try to embody this effortless effort where we're regaining our connection with nature through these movements, through meditation, through self-massage. And then as we regain that connection to nature, everything starts to feel a bit easier. We let go of straining. So let's do 2 more. Right heel. So as you move your arms, for example, allow the arms to move like ribbons in the wind. So much freedom and space. It's a shift and a flow. And you're just kind of rocking with your breath. Shifting back to center. Let's try 1 more, focusing on the breath. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Let's pause for a moment, opening the palms, relaxing, and just feeling the energy of the deer, bright-eyed, full of life, but at the same time quiet, gentle. Now this next form, we've only got 2 more forms actually, but this next one we are going to do, it's for the heart and the liver. So it's quite a multi-beneficial. I don't think that doesn't make sense, does it? Very beneficial for more than 1 meridian line, basically. So horse stance, the legs come a little wider. Now as you bend into horse stance, you don't need to like crank the legs or tense or overly strain the knees. Just relax and open the hips, open the knees, drop the tailbone. Now, the first movement of this is really lovely for your upper back. So what you want to feel is the shoulder blade area opening, the area around some of the gallbladder meridians in the back of your shoulders. And then when we open the bow and arrow, so this is called drawing the bow to let the arrow fly, your right hand opens out so that you've got your index finger and thumb extended, and the other fingers are sort of softly curled in. And then when you draw the bow, you come directly down the center and you press your palm out, straighten your right elbow, and that kind of gives your nerve, your cranial nerve, a little bit of a floss, basically, or a glide. So it's really good for your cranial nerves. And then you come back to the center on the inhale, back of the forearms, back of the hands connecting. And then we go over to the left, drawing the bow with the right hand. And the left hand is the arrow. So when we breathe in, the hands come to center and the legs straighten a little bit. Breathe into your upper back. Now as you breathe out, so in this form, we connect with the liver and gallbladder and its ability to help us with clear focus, mental clarity. So we're not too confused. We're not in that freeze state where we can feel stuck and unable to act. We're more decisive. And so we use our eyes, which are very much a part of this form, to find that focus, that mental clarity. So as you open the bow and arrow, try to gaze at the index finger as you sink down. Look at the index finger and pull the bow, and you feel the sensations in the nerves. Kind of weird. Inhaling to come back. Notice sensations, but also emotions that arise, things that come up that might be activating certain meridians. This is really good for your heart as well, as it works into the fingers, You're working with your heart and its helpers, the lungs as well. But again, a little bit with the gallbladder and the liver and that direction. So let's do one more. Nice big breath in and gaze to your hands as you move to find that clarity, that focus. Or in yoga, they call it drishti. Very important that the eyes help the mind to focus. Let's do one more breath in. And then let's release the arms. Bring the feet a little closer. And again, shake it out. This last one's quite short. We're going to do 9 rounds. And we're going to do punching with an angry fist. Now, this kind of comes from Kung Fu, of course, and it's all the same family. But instead of sort of provoking anger, this is to let anger out. So if you've got a lot of heated emotion, this is a really good one. And the exhalation kind of lets go of some of that intensity, and the inhalation helps us to harness the energy of the strong emotion so that we can store it and use it and utilize it. So feet in this one are about hip width apart. We sink into the legs in the same way. We drop the tail, we bend the knees, just a little softening. And then we have the palms facing up, resting just kind of on the hip bones here. Now we breathe in through the nose, and then we punch, twisting the fist, exhaling through the mouth. So we're going to do 8 more. Inhale. Sink into the legs as you exhale. Inhale, 7 more. And after you've done 9, I mean, this is a great exercise. You can keep going. You can do 18. Usually we do multiples of 3. So I normally do sort of 6 or 9, but you can do as many as you want. And this is a wonderful exercise to really sort of channel that heated emotion, that intensity, and bring more balance, bring more stability, again, so that that energy can be harvested and utilized. So just to finish, before we sit down, do a little meditation, let's make some loose fists and just tap glute medius down the outside of the thighs, outside of the shins, all the way down to the foot and this 4th toe, 9 times, tapping the sides of the hips. So this exercise helps us to stimulate the gallbladder meridians. Some of it's more prominent acupressure points so that the whole gallbladder meridian can get a little bit of love from us. So as you do this tapping, you just want to find that you're kind of listening a little bit to the sensations. Where do you feel tension? Maybe the hips are a little tight. I mean, even that last sequence you might have felt in your legs. So you're just opening the space, getting a little bit more flow going. And as I mentioned, our gallbladder meridian helps us with this steadying of our emotionals and clarity in the brain, mental clarity, but also the physical benefits as well, which are plentiful. Digestion, metabolism, letting go of excessive tension in muscles. And so releasing any overly tight areas. So this is about 9. I'm going to say this is about 9. Then coming back up to center. Let's take the rest of the massage down on the floor. But before we come down to the floor, let's just harness and harvest the energy that we've just cultivated. So turning the palms out to the side, collect and gather the beautiful forest green colored energy of the wood element, like the color of a pine forest. And as you bring it in, let's bring in that emotional stability, that grounding, centering, the ability to step out of the intensity of emotion and harness that powerful energy to use for good. 2 more rounds. Let's bring in the tree's ability for us to feel more rooted, more grounded, more steady. And our deep rooting comes from meditation, practices like Qigong, which help us to feel a bit more balanced, a bit steadier, a bit more grounded in the present moment. And on this last round, let's harness the deer qualities. It's kind of light-hearted, a lifted spirit, gentle spirit, strong, but at the same time, really adaptable, really flexible. And then just pausing at the end of this round. As we move into our relaxation, we'll find a comfortable seated position. So when you come to the floor, you can move against a wall if you want to sit against a wall. I just want you to be comfortable, really. And we'll do our relaxation sitting up so that we can imagine that the spine is a little bit like a tree. But before we do that, let's find gallbladder 34 and give that a little massage. So I like to add a little bit of acupressure work in when we're doing our Qigong, because it is really part of the Chinese medicine process. It's a little bit like doing acupuncture on yourself. So your hands slide up the outside of the legs. When you hit this little bony process, which is your fibular bone, your lower leg bone connecting into your tibia, your other lower leg bone, and you can feel that sort of knobbly bit on the outside there. So again, you slide the hands up the outer legs, find the little knobbly sticky out your bone, and just below or in front of, so around the bone, you want to give that a little massage. I like to use my thumbs sometimes to get a little more pressure. You might want to use your fingertips, whatever feels right. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're pressing directly on gallbladder 34. You can just be around that area looking for tension and seeing if you can release tension in that area. So gallbladder 34, probably the most prominent gallbladder acupressure point that is used for releasing the entire gallbladder meridian line. And again, there's a real ability to reduce stress-related emotional and physical stagnation. The smooth flow of qi, like I mentioned at the start, so getting our blood going, energy getting to where it needs to get to. And of course, that physical sort of vitality, clarity in the mind. Feels great. So if you get areas that feel tight when you're looking for these acupressure points and you hit on a space that feels really tender or sore, really recommend keep working with it, keep going with it. Now, just before the relaxation, let's work with gallbladder 1. So around the sides of the eye sockets and into the temples, and then into the temporalis, which is a little bit above the ear, and into the cranium, into the head. I like using my fingertips for this one. I love massaging my temporalis. It's amazing. So if you hold a lot of stress around your forehead and your eyes, and you furrow your brow all the time, it just feels wonderful. So good. So just sort of rubbing it out a little bit. And then we can go kind of into the actual ear itself. So you can give your ear a little massage. Feels really nice. Surprisingly nice massaging your ears. You would never think, would you? Like, but it does feel pretty good. And then just to finish, let's rub the hands together and create a little bit of heat and friction. And let's imagine as we cleanse the eye muscles that we bring about that clarity, that focus, the ability to really see clearly. When you feel the heat, it can take a little bit of time if your hands are cold. You place your hands over your eye sockets and allow that heat to soften the eye muscles. And then just for these last few minutes of the practice, I want you to remain seated and upright. Maybe sitting against a wall. And we're going to enjoy a few moments to do a tree meditation. This is quite an old meditation. And we could be sitting in front of a tree to do this meditation as well, which would be even better. But you don't have to be sitting in front of a tree, because trees have this incredible network below, under the earth, and now we know that they communicate with each other, support each other. So get as comfortable as you can for this tree meditation. Close your eyes, or just almost close your eyes and rest them softly on the floor. The chi of trees is very compatible with that of human beings. Trees stand upright as we do. They drink water and require air and sunlight. They bloom in summer and retreat to quietness in winter. And from the most ancient times, trees have been symbols of spiritual growth. Their deep roots and high branches suggest an ability to connect earth and sky, the physical and the spiritual. In a forest or park, we can see trees all around us, and I want you to imagine in your mind's eye now that you're in a forest or a park, and you might visualize your favorite kind of tree. You might visualize sitting in front of your favorite tree, maybe imagining the sunlight streaming through the branches and bouncing off the foliage at the bottom of the forest floor. And as you sit with this tree in your mind's eye, you ask the tree kindly if it would mind if you connected with it. We can take energy from Mother Nature, but we must never take it in a way that is assuming or aggressive. We always receive Mother Nature's gifts with gratitude. And so once the tree agrees to this connection, we imagine that the tailbone in our own body is like the root of the tree moving down into the earth. And when we breathe in, we draw energy from the tree's roots into our own root, as if to connect below the surface of the earth into the soil. And as we breathe out, we connect the crown of our head to the branches of the tree, as if to give energy back to the tree, to create a circuit. With each inhale, we bring energy in, and with each exhale, we give energy back. And feeling the spine perfectly centered like a tree trunk, the tailbone rooting down, the stability at the center of our spine, and the crown of the head giving, like the branches moving upwards. Stay with this visualization for a few moments, enjoying a feeling of connection to the tree, and receiving energy. In springtime, there is an ascension of yang energy, and we feel this in our body, the deep rooted feeling in the hips and the tailbone, a joyous, light, expansive feeling around the heart and the head, just like a tree. We feel a lightness, a brightness around the eyes, this mental clarity as each inhale brings more energy in. A feeling of being so deeply rooted in reality and the present that all confused thoughts dissolve. Allow the breath to be so gentle and soft that it's barely there. And even if we're feeling tired or depleted, the energy from the tree brings vitality, vibrancy. As we spend time with the tree, imagining the color of its bark, the shade of green of its leaves, watching the sunlight dance on the leaves and the branches, we feel a deep connection to nature. Just as we give carbon dioxide to the trees and the trees give us oxygen, we are very intimately connected with trees and we cannot live without them. And so expressing gratitude, love, and thanking the tree for its kind offer of connection, to receive its energy. And when you feel ready, softly opening your eyes. I really recommend doing this with a tree. So sitting outside, maybe feeling that connection and imagining yourself in a similar way connected to the earth, to the sun, because we are really similar to trees in that way. We're really intimately connected with each other. We're really intimately connected with the sun, with the earth, and we need all of these things to live. So let's take some time out to sound like a huge hippie, but be with a tree. So Qigong is all about connecting to nature, and I love that about it. It's the most beautiful practice. And thank you so much for joining me for this practice today. I really hope you enjoyed it. If it's your first time practicing Qigong, I do these classes regularly every Sunday on the website, so check that out below. And I'm really, really grateful for you taking time to watch this video and being in my little community, because hopefully you are in my little community if you're watching this. And I adore you and I love you lots, and I'm sending you a massive hug, and have the most wonderful rest of your day. And shoot me a message if you have any questions, as always.